Thomas Piketty, professor d'Economia i director d'estudis a la Universitat d'Estudis Avançats en Ciències Socials, va impartir aquest any la lliçó inaugural de la Facultat de Ciències Econòmiques i Empresarials del curs 2014-2015, patrocinada per Laboratoris Esteve. L'acte va ser presidit per l'excel·lentíssim senyor Jaume Casal, rector de la UPF, i va comptar amb la presència de José Luis Urbieta, de Laboratoris Esteve, el doctor Vicente Ortún, degà de la Facultat de Ciències Econòmiques i Empresarials, i Jean Écoute, del Departament d'Economia i Empresa. L'economista francès Thomas Piketty és especialista en desigualtat econòmica i distribució de la renda. La conferència, titulada Capital in the 21st Century, es va basar en el llibre del mateix títol, en el qual Piketty posa en relació la ciència econòmica amb la història, per tal d'estudiar les dinàmiques del capitalisme. El llibre ha obert el debat més enllà de la comunitat acadèmica internacional i s'ha convertit en un best-seller. Thomas Piketty va començar explicant per què creu que és rellevant la presa de consciència de la desigualtat econòmica a Europa, posant de manifest el cas als Estats Units.
Of course, I was very glad with the success of the book in America, but to tell you the truth, I care a lot more about the European debates than about the American debate. And, I think the historical and international perspective on inequality and wealth and capital, including the public debt that I offer in the book, I think can be of some interest for the European debate for different reasons and in different ways than in America. We have different problems to solve than in America, where rising inequality has become a very large issue. In Europe, it is a smaller issue. That doesn't mean we have to wait until it becomes as big as in America to worry about it, but for the time being, we have different problems to solve, in particular making our monetary union work. And, I think the book also, there are interesting historical lessons from the material I present in the book on this issue.
També va analitzar les variacions de la desigualtat exposant alguns dels motius, com per exemple el perquè de l'augment d'aquesta desigualtat en les últimes dècades als Estats Units.
The standard economic model, and I think that's really part of the story, will involve changing supply and demand for skills and the globalization process. So if you have an increase in the demand for high skills, and if the supply of skills does not increase sufficiently fast, then you can have an increase in inequality. And on the contrary, if you have diffusion of skills, you can have a decline of inequality. And indeed, I think the diffusion of skills, the diffusion of education, I try to show in my book, is certainly the primary force to reduce inequality in the long run, certainly between countries. So I start the book in chapter 1 and 2 with the convergence between emerging countries and rich countries, and this has a lot to do with the diffusion of technical knowledge, skill, productivity, and that's extremely positive. That's a very powerful force that can reduce inequality. And sometimes this can even work within countries, but this requires very inclusive educational institutions, so that everybody, or at least very large group in the population, access education, high skill and high paying jobs.
Mitjançant la comparació entre el capital públic i el privat als països més rics del món, il·lustra la pujada de la desigualtat.
And the orders of magnitude are very clear in the sense that right now, there are several basic findings from this graph. Well, first, public capital has always been smaller than private capital. This just means we don't live in the Soviet Union, which we all knew, but it's always nice to see it on the graph. Private property has always been more important than public property. But back in 1970, public property was not entirely negligible. In some countries, it was close to 100% of national income. In 1950s, 60s, sometimes it was even a bit higher. And because private wealth in some countries was not more than 2-3 years, this meant that the government owned 1/4 of everything there was to own in the country, or 20%. This is not negligible. Now, over time, governments have privatized many of their assets, and they have increased their debt. So if you have less assets and more debt, of course, your wealth declines.
Finalment, proposa que l'augment de l'impost progressiu reduiria la desigualtat i que mirant al passat podrem evitar que aquestes desigualtats amenacin la democràcia.
So, I understand after the Reagan years there was a big decline in top right. This seemed like ancient history, but I think this is not so old, and this is part of our common history. The solution for the future will be different, but in any case, I think it is useful to put these debates about inequality and taxation in a historical perspective. These are just historical facts. I'm not responsible for this tax policy. This is part of what happened in the past. And, sometimes people have very little knowledge about what happened more than 10 or 20 years ago on these issues. And I think, it's important to try to have a more informed democratic debate on these issues. And this is all what I'm trying to contribute to.